Hello and welcome to Box Office Chat, the weekly show from Movie Burner Entertainment, where we discuss the top 10 films within the United Kingdom's box office. This is for the weekend, October 19th to 21st, 2018, and joining me as ever is Stephen to discuss the box office. What have we got at number one this week, Stephen? It's a surprise, I think you'd be fair to say.
Yeah, in its third week, John, is A Star Is Born, grossing 2.9 million over the weekend. Overall, 14.9, just under 15 million in 3 weeks. It's not bad viewings, that, is it?
It's not, and as I did say, it's a surprise, Stephen, because Halloween is released over here. Finally, it's been out for a week, but we're always delayed reaction on this show because we're tracking numbers of the updated box office figures quite as quickly as the United States do, so we have to wait a week longer. So Halloween's out, and A Star Is Born is still at number one, albeit by an absolute fraction, just a couple £100,000. You can't argue with that, Stephen. For A Star Is Born, it's very impressive, and it's continuing this reign of form we've seen over the last few months, or to a year or so, maybe even further back, Stephen, prior to us even doing this, because I didn't look at the box office quite as much 3-4 years ago when we weren't doing this show. So maybe this has just been a recurring theme in the United Kingdom, where musicals or films set with sort of musical themes and backgrounds just do well over here. I don't know, but certainly as we will get into as we go into Halloween, there's a reason behind that particular film's lacklustre entrance into the box office. There's a reason, there's a historical basis for it not quite grabbing the number one spot, but I can't argue with A Star Is Born. I've seen the film, I thoroughly enjoyed it. Also Bradley Cooper's directorial debut, I thought he was outstanding as one of the leading pair alongside Lady Gaga. He played Jack, an Asian, well, he wasn't that Asian, but a rock star on the way down. He was losing his hearing, interacts with Lady Gaga's ally, has a chance meeting at a bar, thrusts her into the spotlight, her career gathers a pace, she becomes a star, and his starts to go down. They have feelings, they have an on-off relationship. His life, his story ends tragically. She goes on to higher heights, ends in a high. But it's a very, very good film, very well written. Shows you the trials and tribulations around fame and whatnot, and how it really impacts on the family and people close to them. And it just shows you, it was like La La Land from last year. It shows you the darker side to fame. It's not all a big jolly jaunt to the top. There's some pain and hardship you have to go through, and some people suffer along the way. So I thoroughly enjoyed it, much like La La Land. And I'm not surprised it's doing well, Stephen. I expect this to do well at the Oscars too. I see some nominations forthcoming for Lady Gaga and Bradley Cooper, but whether they win's another thing entirely. But I do see nominations.
Yeah, 8.3 out of 10 on IMDb, John. That's very impressive. I think Bradley Cooper should be very proud of this directorial debut. And also I think the music as well has helped us, John. I think a lot of people enjoy the music in this movie.
Yeah, it's got a very catchy main song that goes through the whole thing. It's sort of Alice, kind of, it's like her theme going through the whole thing. Thrusts her into prominence, and it's a great song. Yeah,
I mentioned last week, I do enjoy these type of films. I know that most of these films like this and films like Rudderless are based loosely on real life experiences from whether it be a country western singer or whatever, a rock star or whatever. But I like that, and I like that angle. I like the humanisation of these artists as well. And I think the thing that stands out with A Star Is Born, as I said, will be the music. That's what's making it, it's pushing it forward. That's why I think it's remained at number one as well, because I think the soundtrack's doing rather well as well.
Yeah, it actually did remind me, Stephen, of Walk the Line, Johnny Cash. He was a similar sort of a figure, complicated guy who's had his problems, personal problems and stuff like that. But what the final thing I'll say that struck me was Bradley Cooper, his musicianship. Yeah, it surprised me with his ability to play guitar. Didn't realise he was quite so good a guitar player. I don't know whether he was faking it, but if he was faking it, he'd done a damn good job. And his voice as well, very good singer. So hats off to him for that.
John, I said this last week about Bradley Cooper as well. Probably up to about a decade ago, personally I felt was a very one-dimensional actor, appearing in comedies and stuff like that. But over the last 10 years, we've saw him appear in films like Limitless, American Sniper as well. I thought he was amazing in that. We're seeing him doing the voice of Rocket the Raccoon in the Guardians of the Galaxy films. Amazing. You wouldn't think it was Bradley Cooper. Now we're actually seeing another talent this man's got, and that's his musicianship. and his singing voice as well. Lady Gaga was absolutely gobsmacked the first time she heard him sing, according to Lady Gaga on the Graham Norton show a few Fridays ago. So it's doing well. I'm going to go along and see this movie this week in the cinema, John. Probably one of the quieter periods, but I'm looking forward to seeing it.
And grossed over $250 million as well, so that's incredible. What a performance that is for a film which is, let's be honest, quite a small budget, only $36 million. But we're going to move on, Stephen, to number 2, and it's the aforementioned Halloween. It's finally shown in our box office. We've both seen it. It's grossed £2.6 million in its opening weekend, taking its total gross, which bizarrely it must have been pre-screeners or something like that, but it's shown it's a total is £2.9 million, 550 theatres. This thing's turning it up all over the world. Well, I say all over the world. It's turning it up in the United States. Not so much the rest of the world. You actually go into Box Office Mojo and look at its breakdown. 73.5% of that $172 million worldwide grossing is in the United States. Just 26.5% is the rest of the foreign territories. And as I did say, Steve, before I let you in, to get your views on the film, traditionally, apparently, this film hasn't fared so well over here. The Halloween franchise hasn't fared so well in the United Kingdom because people just don't seem to connect with it as well as the United States. I think this is a more of a cultural thing because the United States, they like Halloween. They're into it in a big way. I was saying this just a couple of days ago. I don't recall really celebrating Halloween as a child. It really started exploding when I was getting up into my older child years, getting into teenage years. That's when it really exploded over here. I don't recall in the early 90s it being a big affair. I really don't.
No, I think it was
reflected in the box office.
It's definitely a cultural thing, especially in the US, John, where it has been for decades. Over here, it's really only been the last 5 or so years that it's starting to get to that sort of way here in the UK in regards to the whole build up to it and, you know, the actual night itself. The movie, I've did a review of this, John. It will be on. We'll talk about it more in depth on the Movie Burner blog rundown on Thursday. I don't really want to get too much into it. I want to try and save a lot of this for Thursday, but the film itself is okay. It's not too bad. It's a fitting sequel to the original '78 film. There's a little bit of niggles in there that there's some things that really annoyed me. There's some humour that was a bit misplaced. Also, parts of the plot was a little bit strange as well. Some of the characters I don't think were necessary. And also, probably the thing that stood out to me the most was the lack of Jamie Lee Curtis in the movie. She is in it. I mean, she is in it, and she's in it at the right moments. But I think what the filmmakers have done here, I don't really want to say David Gordon Green here, because I think the studio have had a bit of say in this as well in regards to the granddaughter and the perspective of the narration of the movie is really it's coming from her more so than Jamie Lee Curtis, which is quite a surprise because when we saw the trailers, I don't recall the granddaughter featuring in any of the trailers. It was all mostly Jamie Lee Curtis and and Michael Myers. It was both of them coming head to head. This was going to be the big confrontation. We do get that obviously, but there was a few things that kind of niggled me. But as I said, I'll save that for the Movie Burner blog rundown on Thursday, John. Overall, it was a good film. It was not the greatest, but it was a good film. Yeah, and I think that's really a view that's been echoed by the critics and the audience members in general. You go into IMDb, it's getting a rating of just 7.3 out of 10. It's only out a week. It's not outstanding, but it's good, but not outstanding. Critics 79%, all critics 79% as well. An average rating of 7.1 or 6.8 out of 10, depending on which one you click. 76% audience score. That's an equivalent to 4 out of 5. I'd say that's a fair rating. I'd say it's probably a 7.5 out of 10. I'd give it. It's a solid slasher horror film. Certainly I think it's a cut above some of the trashy sequels we've seen of Halloween that they've kicked to the curb. I think it's deserving of another offshoot sequel. Don't know about that. I enjoyed it for what it was. I thought it was quite violent. I liked that. You're going to get that in a Halloween film. I enjoyed some of the violent moments. Certainly the moment the doctor gets his head smashed in with a book, because that guy just deserved that. He was a cretin. He somehow thought he could connect with Michael Myers. He could get him to speak to him. I don't know what the hell that was all about. When he killed Officer Hawkins, obviously his character apparently appeared in the original film. I don't think it was Will Payton who played him, though.
But I don't know what that was all about, that side story, but I don't know. I think you says Chris Stutton, he even brought this up. And he's like, what did he expect to gain out of that? Where was he going to go after that?
Yeah.
This is a doctor. He's just shot a police officer. And he thinks he's going to, I don't know what that was about. And you're right, Stephen, there's some minor niggles in there definitely is. Some of the characters are unnecessary. Most of the school children are the school friends of the granddaughter. I wouldn't call them children because they're not really children. Yeah. But some of them just felt unnecessary. They were in there for targets for Michael Myers to kill before he got on his showdown with Laurie Strode. Don't think we did get enough of cut aside. I don't think that was definitely a grievance of mine. But when she turned up, man, she was ready and she dealt with him. So I was happy with him and overall. I thought it was okay. It wasn't outstanding.
I'll say one thing. I don't think Dr. Sartain, I think that was his name anyway.
Yeah.
He was not a Loomis by any measure. No. Laurie Strode actually said in the movie, "Are you the new Loomis?" or "You are the new Loomis." I can't remember. I'm paraphrasing here, but
yeah, she did.
I certainly said at the time, he certainly is not. Yeah. That's no reflection on Halleck Billinger, I think his name. I can't remember his name. It's not. It's nothing to do with his acting abilities or anything. I think it's just the way the character was written. There was a lot of flaws in that character. Yeah,
I love that little fat guy's death as well, though. The motion sensor thing in the back garden. That was creepy as well. That was one of the creepier moments when he's appearing closer, and I'm screaming, "Just move, you idiot! Move!" But he was drunk, and he deserved his death. It reminded me of the TV show or series, the TV film with Curry. I forget his bloody name. Tim Curry. But the woman rushes out of her grandmother's house and gets caught in the fence. That was like him. And he get done in. Some great kills in there. Little black guy was hilarious. He brought some good comedy, but some of the comedy was a little bit misjudged as well. But overall, I thought it was okay. Yeah. I'm not surprised it's not entered at number 1 though over here, because as I did say, there's precedent for it not doing that. But we'll get into that later, Steve. We'll get into that.
Yeah, coming in at number 3, John, it's Johnny English Strikes Again. This is in its 3rd week. It's grossed another 1.7 million over the weekend. Overall 11.4 million now. 1.7 million over the weekend for this sequel. I know we kind of scoffed at this last week, but I think overall Rowan Atkinson, I can't remember what we call him.
I just call him Mr. Bean, Stephen.
Yeah, I think he will be pleasantly satisfied, certainly with the original as well. I did scoff at that as well, based on the ratings it got. I think it was out in 2003 or something like that, I can't remember. But overall, it's done okay. But surprising. I know that I don't know if it's a Scottish thing or not, but I think Rowan Atkinson. I always relate him to the Blackadder character, because I always think that was probably his greatest work. But I think in England, he's got such a big fan base as well. I think as well the Mr. Bean character sort of bridges the gap between the sort of adult humour of Blackadder to the sort of childish humour of Mr. Bean, and it kind of bridges that gap with audiences and his sort of scope from young kids to adults, and that's how he's got such a large following. And I'm not surprised to see it doing so well at the box office, this movie.
I have to say though, Stephen, I'm surprised when I looked at that worldwide gross figure, $109.3 million worldwide. That is just unbelievable.
Yeah.
Can't have had a massive production budget. I didn't even know it existed, I can't lie. I've seen the original one about 10 years ago. Wasn't a sequel I ever thought I wanted or would get. I didn't want it, I've not been to see it. But listen, clearly Emma Thompson and Rowan Atkinson have got some pull. Rowan Atkinson in particular, also, he's the guy on the front.
Yeah.
But £11.3 million total gross here, that's outstanding for a film like this. 3 weeks in, it's actually up theatres, it's up 15 theatres, dropped just 42.4% in its 3rd weekend. That's very good. I never expected to see this thing in here competing with the likes of Venom and even First Man, which has been a complete unmitigated disaster of a film. Although I say that, I'm being harsh on it. We'll get to that as we go on. I'm being a little bit harsh. It's doing okay, First Man, for what it is.
I think we'll get to that now, John. It's at number 4, Venom, and it's in its 3rd week as well, grossing 1.6 million over the weekend, grossing overall 16.7 million, just under 17 million pounds. Still to see this movie, John, so I can't really say too much about it, but it's doing okay, I suppose, for its genre. Specifically the angle they took with this film and its genre as well. It's not very often we see a movie where we're taking one of the comic book villains and portraying him as the sort of main character. Well, there's the main character. It's titled Venom, obviously, so he is the main character. But it's something we don't see that often. So from that point of view, it interests me, and I will get to see this at some point. I've got A Star Is Born on my radar at the moment, so at some point I will get to see this movie.
Yeah, 16.7 million total gross 3 weeks in. It's down 48.1%, still showing in 622 theatres, which is the third highest, second highest in this week's box office. That's outstanding. You look at the worldwide grossings, incredible, $508 million, over $500 million, and it's quite a large chunk of it's actually in foreign markets. $321 million off of $100 million production budget. That's an outstanding performance, certainly when the critics were only giving it 30 and 18% between the top and all. You look at that disconnect though between the audience and the critics. 87% of the audience on Rotten Tomatoes liked it. They've gave it a 4.3 out of 5. The critics have gave it just 4.5 out of 10. That's off of 31,000 ratings. I liked the film. I thought it was okay. I says it was a film of two halves, and I stick by that. I thought the first half, when it focused on Eddie Brock and his just mundane life, it was going to shit. He lost his marriage, his job, trying to take down the villainous Carlton Drake, who was a bit of a megalomaniac billionaire who had this big corporation. He was doing tests. He got his hands on some symbiote, the symbiotes from some, I think it was a comet or something like that that crashed, or a ship crashed. It's been a while since I've seen it, clearly. A couple of weeks, and it's out of my mind already. But he tried to take him down. He ended up losing his job, and then the second half focuses on what the relationship between Eddie and Venom, and it was in an entertaining film.
Yeah.
Some great humour in there, amazing action at times, decent visuals. I thought Tom Hardy was the standout performer. Really, really good performance. Yeah, I think he voiced Venom as well, but sounded completely different. Really, really good performance from him. I've enjoyed the film. I'm not surprised it's doing well with the box office, because it's connecting with those audience members. I like to go and see films like The Meg and stuff, just like popcorn action flicks.
Yeah.
They're not going to connect with art house horrors and stuff like the critics like. They'll connect with films like this. The only question I have now is whether we're going to see Spider-Man now returning to Sony once that 5-picture deal ends with Marvel. Hope not, but it could do after the success of this, because they'll now have their eyes on a sequel and expanding this universe out even further.
Well, it remains to be seen, John, but I think I don't think I'd be too fussed to see Spider-Man cross over back to his natural home, if you like.
Yeah, as long as you don't get Andrew Garfield in.
No, I mean, I think it would work. I certainly, with the feedback and the reaction from the audience for this movie, there's certainly something there they can build on. Certainly not going down that road of the Tom Cruise, the Mummy, the Monsters universe, that kind of thing. I think they've started off quite okay here. And there is room for improvement. There's obviously, I think I don't know if it was a post-credit scene or if it was the ending scene, John, where it's certainly suggesting that there's more stories to be told in this universe. So we're going to move on to number 5 this week, John. And in its second week is Smallfoot, grossing 1.4 million over the weekend. Overall, 4.3 million. Both of us have saw this movie now, John, since last week, since we first spoke about it. We did say we were going to go and see it. We did. I thoroughly enjoyed it. It's certainly not a movie I don't think it's got rewatchability, but what I did like about it was I think the kids will like it. There's also the right messages and signals are in there as well. What I got out of it was that I felt that the film was all about acceptance and never judging a book by its cover, that type of thing. And the stars of the show as well. I thought Channing Tatum was very good in his role. Zendaya as well. I thought she reminded me of Anna Kendrick's Poppy from the Trolls movie. She had that kind of enthusiasm about her. And also James Corden, I thought he did well playing the voice of Percy, the human. He was a sort of human angle for the film. Loved that little rap from Common. That was great. Danny DeVito was playing Dorgo. He was Migo's father. And I thought it was a good film. It was certainly one that my daughter enjoyed as well. And it's not one of those ones I'm going to go back and see in a hurry, but it was fulfilling enough.
Yeah, no, I really liked the visuals. Thought they were outstanding. Popped. amazing little animations as well. There were some great action sequences around about the town. I loved the acting across the board. I thought it was very well acted. LeBron James is in there. Common, as you did say, had a great rap scene. Visually stunning, but it's showing the history. They had contact with the humans below, and he was covering it up for the right reasons, but they were slightly misguided reasons. They were selfish, because he had a degree of power, I think, over the town or the village.
Yeah.
Channing Tatum, I thought, was outstanding as Mio, a big lovable goof character. Percy, James Corden, he's got a distinct voice. That's what I will say about James Corden. I'm not his biggest fan by any means, but he does lend his voice well to these films. You've seen it, Peter Rabbit too. He's very good at doing the voice acting, so I can't really discredit him there. Zendaya, very good as well. You're right about that thing. Yeah, she did sound like Trolls, that Trolls character. I've seen that film numerous times. I don't know any of the characters' names, but I have seen it too many times, really. But Danny DeVito, it was great to see him coming back. I don't think he's been in anything for a while. I'm sure he was semi-retired.
Yeah.
I think you're right. He was playing Miguel's father. I think the Gong Master or something like that, or the Keeper, the big gong. And it was power. There was some good underlying messages in there as well. Themes, just about not judging, as you did say, a book by its cover. Just powerful messages in today's society with the likes of Trump and stuff, preaching these insular hate messages and stuff about building walls. This is about tearing walls down and interconnecting with different people, just regardless of whether they maybe share the same belief systems or whatever the hell, or they're completely different to you. Just get out there and mix. Everybody can interconnect and come together to be a nice, wholesome one, you know. Yeah. Peace and love and all that, as John Lennon said. So, all in all, I really enjoyed it. I thought it was visually stunning, great story, amazing humour at points as well, Stephen. I was gutting myself a little bit more than I should have at 29 years of age. Certainly Miguel's misfortune as he was falling down that first time, and he was going through a whole host of things. Try to keep the drawbridge together, the rocks come together. Great blend of seriousness that will get to adults, great blend of humour, amazing visuals and good acting across the board, so I liked it. Yeah, I'm surprised it's doing well.
I also liked the communication between the human and the Yetis as well, where you were hearing it from their perspective. I thought that was a neat little trick. Yeah. Didn't use it often enough, which was a good thing, because I felt that it was a nice little sort of novelty factor in the movie, but it was perfect. We're going to move on to number 6, John, in the box office this week. It's in its first week, grossing 1.3 million over the weekend, 2.1 million overall. Is Goosebumps 2 Haunted Halloween. Now, this is the film that actually pushed forward Hotel Transylvania, from being a summer vacation or a Halloween vacation to a summer vacation, strangely. I don't know what the reasons were. Well, I think Hotel Transylvania is going to be laughing because 2.1 million in its first weeks.
Picture
it's not
Adam
great.
Sandler, Stephen, in his Dracula costume, rubbing his hands with glee and laughing himself to sleep at night, because that film went on to make a pretty number indeed. It grossed, I can't remember the exact figure, but well over $300 million worldwide. This is just $62.5 million. To be fair, it's not long out, so it may get up there, but I doubt it.
It begs the question though, John, did the studio not have a lot of confidence in the third instalment of Hotel Transylvania that they had to do that? I don't know, because I don't think a lot of people would get confused with these two films being released at the same time. I don't know what the
well, you've seen it with Star Wars as well, Stephen. You can never underestimate the stupidity of the general audience members.
That's true, yeah.
You bring Darth Vader into a film and they think it's connected to the saga, which is set 30 years after his death, so never underestimate the stupidity of the regular plebs that go to see films. They'll pull back releases for that very reason. But listen, it's doing okay. £1.3 million, £2.1 million total. That's not bad in an opening week, so hats off to it. I ain't going to go and see it though. I didn't even see the original Goosebumps film. It's not for me. It's about two young friends finding a magic book that brings a ventriloquist dummy to life. I recall reading these Goosebumps books when I was a young boy, like Night of a Living Dummy or something, I think it was called, and things like that. So I'm vaguely familiar with some of the stories. They were intriguing little stories, more kid-friendly, I think, than adult-friendly, which you'll see in the rating, PG. So clearly targeted at the younger demographic, so I'm sure they'll get something out of it.
And I think it'll probably be in the box office for the next few weeks, John. I don't think it's going to have any longevity about it, because if it's a seasoned film. But we'll move on to number 7 this week. It's in its second week. It's First Man, and it's grossed 1.3 million over the weekend, 5.4 million overall. In 2 weeks, that's quite disappointing in my book. I thought this film would have done a lot better than that here in the UK. Certainly, domestically, it's quite disappointing. I think worldwide it's done a bit better, but not much. But it's very disappointing. But again, this all comes back to what you were talking about last week, John, the week before, about this whole flag issue. It's very petty. We all know who the first man on the moon was. We all know where he came from. We don't really have to have the stars and stripes in there. We get it. I just think there's a bit of insecurity there from a lot of American people, that they really need to hammer home the stars and stripes every opportunity. Sorry, this isn't Rocky IV. We don't need that. Don't need James Brown jumping about, singing,
in America.
with a big top hat on and that. Or was that Apollo Creed? Yep.
Yeah, look how that ended, Stephen. Didn't end well.
We don't need that. It's a film. It is what it is. It's biographical. It's drama, and it's historic. You mentioned the name Neil Armstrong. We know who it is right away. We don't really need a history lesson here. But I thought Ryan Gosling did a fine job. Jason Clarke as well. I thought the whole cast did a sterling job. I thought the look and feel to the period as well was very authentic. Reminded me in that sense of Apollo 13. They nailed the look and the feel to the film for its time, and I'm disappointed to see that it's not doing as well as it should be. Certainly over here, I get it. I understand that, because we are who we are over here. It's maybe not as big a deal over here as it is over in the US, but it's certainly a historical moment in mankind.
It is, and as I did say earlier, I was a bit harsh on it. I said it was an unmitigated disaster. I don't think it's an unmitigated disaster. It's a bit harsh. It's grossed £5.3 million in the United Kingdom. This is a story about Neil Armstrong, his personal life, the mission to the moon. It's from 40 years ago, and it wasn't in Scotland or the United Kingdom. I can't see many people in Scotland going to see this film, incidentally. We're talking about people back then who were dancing the Highland Jig to kilt music while the Beatles were out, and Bob Dylan and the Rolling Stones and all those bands. They were doing Highland Jigs and stuff like that, and they ain't going to go and watch a film like The First Man. That generation's almost gone now. Maybe people will go and watch it. I don't know. I certainly went to watch it, and I got a great deal out of it. As you did say, all the visual authenticity of the likes of Apollo 13. They rebuilt all of the ships. It was incredible, the attention to detail. Really took you there. It really took you into the mindset of Neil Armstrong, and I thought Ryan Gosling nailed that character. All the frailties of him. He was a very inward, introverted sort of a guy. He had his troubles. He was grieving for a lot of lost colleagues. I actually didn't realise Ed White, the story. I didn't know about the story of Ed White, played by Jason Clarke, and the other two astronauts who actually died, were burnt to death by an explosion in the lead up to the Apollo 11 mission. I wasn't aware that happened, so that was cool. That he didn't pull any punches. Damien Chazelle, he showed the darker side of the space race, because there was some dark moments in there. You've seen it before, Stephen. There's a lot of conspiracy theories about what happened with the Russians. People dying up there and them not declaring it and stuff like that through official channels. But there was a couple of good performances. I'd say Claire Foy's Janet Armstrong and Ryan Gosling were the two main standouts for me. She was incredible as a woman that was trying to hold her family together, trying to deal with the fear of losing her husband at any moment, because it was a complete unknown. These guys were trailblazers. And I loved the way that Giselle and Josh Singer really did get down into the humanity of these missions. It wasn't a big hoorah, bombastic, action-fueled film. It had some moments of action in there, but it was all very sterile and almost like if you watch a pilot video on YouTube, the way they just quietly go about their business. They're very single-minded. They know what they're doing. It's routine. They do it again and again and again until they perfect it. It was like that. And there was action in there, but it was realistic. And the scenes in the moon as well, I thought they were incredible. Didn't need the flag, as you hit the nail on the head, Stephen, when you says that everybody knows who was on the moon first. It was the Americans. We know all about Neil Armstrong, but what we don't know is the inner turmoil he was going through at this point in his life. And I thought they captured that beautifully, and it's just a shame that it's not really going over well with regular audiences. Certainly it's going over a little bit better with the critics. I do think that's getting 88%, 89% from top critics. 63% from the audience. You see that disconnect again. But I think this is just a time thing, Stephen. A new generation, they don't really care about the moon. It was 40 years ago.
Yeah.
They're buried in their iPads and their iPhones, and they don't give a shit. And they ain't going to go and watch this film unless it's got big bombastic explosions. It's got some explosions in there, but all in all, it's a more introspective tale of the man himself, and I liked it.
Yeah. Just coming in at number 8, John. It's a new film. Its first week. It's grossed 400,000 over the weekend. And it's called Hunter Killer. Now, this movie, directed by Donovan Marsh, and it stars Gerard Butler, Gary Oldman, Common again, he's in there. A whole host of stars are in there. Basically, this film is about an untested American submarine captain teams with the US Navy SEALs to rescue the Russian president, who has been kidnapped by a rogue general.
Yes. Didn't know about it, Stephen, but I tell you what, you look at the cast, outstanding cast in there. A couple of people that really catch my eye. The likes of Gary Oldman, Gerard Butler, a couple of other people in there, as you did mention, Common. So all in all, I'd probably give us a bash when it comes on the TV. Ain't going to go out my way to watch it in the cinema, sadly. But listen, not many people are. It's only grossed £368,000 in its opening weekend. It's a Lionsgate release. And I tell you what, we've had issues with Lionsgate over the last year or so, hadn't we, Stephen? Pulling our videos for thumbnails and stuff like that as if we're making megabucks. We ain't making money. Man, this is a passion project for us. We ain't in this for the money, guys. Come on, you're pulling our videos, you guys. So screw yous, in other words. I don't care about Lionsgate. Screw the film. That's why I'm not going to the cinema to give them money, Stephen. Up yous.
Fair enough, John. Let me move on to number 9, and it's 5th week. It's The House with a Clock in Its Walls. It's grossed another £200,000 this weekend, grossing 7.8 million overall. This is, of course, the Jack Black, Kate Blanchett movie, John. You've went to see. Still not got around to see this film.
Don't think you will now, Stephen.
No, I think it's going to be one of the ones that's just going to come on, maybe Sky at some point. I'll probably catch it there.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think I've got much more to add to this one either, Stephen. It's been in the box office for 5 weeks. £7.75 million total gross, down 62 theatres. It's dropped 56% on this weekend's performance. That's usually a bad sign for a film that starts dropping like that. But look, $111.3 million worldwide off of a $42 million production budget. Can't argue with that. I think most of that is down to Jack Black and Kate Blanchett. Maybe even fans of Eli Roth, who are obviously tracking his career as a director. That's maybe get them out to watch it. It had some blends, as I did say before, of comedy, family, fantasy mixed in with some darker horror elements. It was an interesting little story. It had all the magic of the early Harry Potter films, great visuals at points, intriguing, colourful characters, good set design, but it lacked in the villain department. Kyle McLaughlin was okay as Isaac Hazard, but it wasn't a really great and amazing villain. You're not going to say, wow, that was incredible, that blew me away. He was in the film for about 5 minutes, and then he died a pathetic death at the end. Funny moment at the end, actually, with Jack Black's character, Jonathan Barneveld, turned into a baby, and that was quite funny. But all in all, I enjoyed it. It's done well overall. It's done well here. Can't argue with that performance. Total performance, 7.75 million for a film of this stature in the United Kingdom is very decent. So, hey ho, can't argue, Eli. You got your money's worth, mate.
And our final film this week, John, in the box office is Night School. In its 4th week now, it's grossed another 200,000 over the weekend, grossing overall 4.2 million. Now, this is the Malcolm D. Lee movie starring Kevin Hart, who also wrote this film, and I don't think I've got too much to say on this. I don't think this movie is going to be hanging around the top 10 for much longer, judging on the weekend's performance, John. But I've said this before, I like Kevin Hart's stand-up. His films are a different kettle of fish to me. You either like them or you don't. I think sometimes there's a lot of forced comedy in there, trying too hard. He's a very funny man. Not seen this movie though. It's getting average ratings on IMDb as well, 5.6 out of 10. It's not great, is it?
Yeah, I'm much the same, Stephen. I've not got much more to add. You can't argue though, again, with the box office performance over in the United Kingdom. It's a small, average comedy from Kevin Hart, let's be honest. So a Universal release, and it's grossed £4.2 million in the United Kingdom. Can't argue with that. $90.5 million total world gross. In the world, that is. Total worldwide gross. In the world. And its production budget is just $29 million. So it's made something of a profit, I would imagine. can't see Universal having pushed this too much in the promotion stakes. Take the cuts from the theatres and it's probably just about eked out a profit. So that's down to Kevin Hart, I think, really. And maybe even Tiffany Haddish as well, who is one of the co-leads as Carrie. Ain't seen the film, ain't going to go and see the film because it's not my cup of tea. I do like Kevin Hart, but I'm not going to go out my way to watch this in the cinema because it's just not for me. And the ratings from the critics and the audience alike ain't doing much to change my mind. So I think that just about wraps up this week's episode of Box Office Chat, Stephen, but we do discuss all the films within the top 10 in the United Kingdom's box office. And we'd just like to thank you for listening, and we'll be back tomorrow with Movie Burner News.
Remember guys, if you enjoyed that episode, then do hit that like button, comment below, and maybe subscribe to the channel if you haven't done already. If you want to follow us on social media for all the latest updates from Movie Burner Entertainment, then we can be found on Twitter and Facebook at Movie Burners. You can also listen to us on Google Play and iTunes at the Movie Burner Podcast. And last but not least, if you want to access all the latest written reviews and the occasional article, then that can be found on our website at movieburnerentertainment.org. Until the next time, goodbye.